everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Megan. Welcome if you are new here. If you are not new here, welcome back. Thanks for clicking on this video. Thanks for hanging out with me. And today we are going over my October wrap up. These are all the books that I read in October. I had a pretty good month. I feel like a really well balanced month. I read 8 books. I listened to 1 audiobook, giving us 9 books total. I had 2-star ratings, 3, 4, and 5-star ratings. So the only one that I was missing was a 1-star rating, which if I ever have a 1-star rating, that will be like, I don't even know. That would be super rare because I'm someone who is a very easily 4 or 5-star rating. Like if I enjoy a book and I can't put it down, it's an easy 4 or 5 stars. I feel like 2 and 3 stars are kind of more rare for me to begin with. So a 1-star book would be super rare. We're gonna start with my 5-star reads of the month and then go work our way down and get to the 2 stars. So the first book I want to talk about this month was the audiobook that I listened to, which was The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book was absolutely amazing. I know this book is super hyped up on Book Talk, BookTube, and Book Talk, and it is definitely worth the hype. I loved this book, and it's one of those books where I feel like the hype really had to get me into it. So I first started reading Taylor Jenkins Reid with Daisy Jones and the Six, and I listened to that on audio as well. Absolutely loved it. And when I read the original summary of Daisy Jones and the Six, it was a book that I really didn't feel like I would care about. Like I didn't really care about the synopsis of it. And then I just really listened to Daisy Jones based on the hype, and I absolutely loved it. And it was kind of similar to 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Like I didn't really care about the summary of the book, which is why I didn't read it sooner. But then as soon as I realized I was in love with Daisy Jones and the Six, I was like, okay, now I have to read the other book, because even though I don't care about the summary, I feel like I'm gonna love the book. I read it, absolutely loved it, and I think the reason why I don't necessarily care about the summaries and then I read the books and I end up loving them is because Taylor Jenkins Reid writes amazing characters. Like I just love the characters that she creates and the depth that she gives them, and especially the women that she writes. She just creates some badass women. Like Evelyn Hugo, I just love how confident she is in herself, how she just has solutions to every problem, and she's just confident, and she just like seems like she knows what she's doing at all times. And I don't know, I just really loved her as a character. I loved her story. And another thing I really loved about the book is her main love interest in the story is like somebody you would never expect. Just reading the title of the book, you wouldn't expect her main love interest to be who the person is, and that just made me love it even more. I thought it was a really beautiful story, and 5 stars, definitely recommend. The next book that I read this month and gave 5 stars to is Serpent and Dove, which is a fantasy book about a witch who is forced to marry a witch hunter. And of course, the witch hunter doesn't know that she is a witch. And this was a really amazing book. I would say the first 50 pages, I was considering DNFing it though. So like the first 50 pages, I was like, I don't like this. Like, I don't want to read this. And I told my boyfriend, I was like, I'm gonna give it to page 100. If it cannot capture me by page 100, I'm out. It's a DNF. Okay. I read it and I gave it 5 stars. So if you're like in the first 50 pages and you're not loving it, just hold on. It gets so good. I loved this story. I thought it was really amazing. I just love the dynamic of the witch hunters who were actually part of like a church. I'm not a religious person, but I really loved the religious church element to the story because I really love the dynamic between the church and then Lou, our main character, who is the witch. Because the church, they're so pure and like proper, and she's just like not giving a fuck. Also, the romance in this book is enemies to lovers, which I'm a sucker for enemies to lovers. I love that trope. I don't know why. I just love it. And yeah, after I finished reading this book, I immediately went on eBay and ordered Blood and Honey, which is the sequel to the book. The next book I gave 5 stars to is The Sundial Motel by Simone St. James. So in this book, we are following Vivian in 1982. She goes to work at the Sundial Motel, and she starts following a mystery of all these girls are dying in this small town that she's living in, Fells, New York, and she's just trying to find their killer and find out what's going on and trying to connect all their murders, although no one really believes that any of these murders are connected. And then we go to present day, well, it's kind of present day, 2017, and we are following Carly, who is Vivian's niece, and she goes to the Sundial Motel to find out what happened to her aunt because her aunt had disappeared in 1982. And in this book, it is a dual perspective story where we are following Vivian and kind of figuring out what happened to her, like watching her get to the motel, solve the mystery, and find out what happened to her at the end. And then we have Carly going to the motel, figuring out the mystery, and then what happens to her at the end. And the reason I gave it 5 stars is because I couldn't put it down. Like, as soon as I started reading it, like, I had to finish it. I couldn't put it down. It was such a good story. But, like, I don't know that I would call it a tense supernatural thriller. I wish there was more ghosts in the story, and I know the book, a lot of it is surrounded on ghosts. So basically when Vivian and Carly first get to the hotel, like obviously separately, but like when they first arrive to the motel, they both experience the same situation with the ghosts, and it's like this big thing, and I wish, and that happened, and then it's kind of like just them solving the mystery, and then at the end when the mystery is kind of like solved, there's like this big ghost thing, but during the course of them solving the mystery, there's no like really ghostly things happening, and it just feels like there's 2 events with the ghosts, and I wish there was more. I wish there was just more of the ghosts through the story. But again, overall, I thought it was a really amazing book. It was a really quick read. If you want something to get you out of a reading slump, definitely recommend this one. The next book I read this month was The Guest List by Lucy Foley, which is actually the first book I read this month, so this kind of kicked off the month for me. This I gave a 4 stars to. And I thought it was a really well done book. So basically you're following, how many people? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different perspectives, which I really love a dual perspective book or a multi-perspective book. I think it's so much more interesting than just following one character. And all these people are invited to this wedding. Somebody at the wedding dies, and obviously, you know, somebody on the guest list murdered the person who dies. But the thing is, you don't know who died and who the murderer is until the end of the book. So the whole story, you're kind of just like learning about these people and like watching their experience, and you have no idea which one of them is going to be dead. I have to say, I was a bit surprised at the person who was dead at the end. I mean, honestly, it wasn't really anybody could really have died in this book, and I wouldn't have been that surprised. But I kind of thought it was going to be someone else who was going to be dead at the end, and it was not the person who I thought it was going to be. So that I enjoyed. The killer was somebody who I didn't expect, which I also enjoyed. And then I was reading reviews and people were like, oh yeah, like I kind of suspected that I was going to be this person. And I was like, what, how? Like, how did you expect that? Because I had no idea. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book. It was definitely a slow burn mystery. After the 30-page mark, I would say I got hooked on it. And then like the more middle-ish part of the book, I was just like, eh. And then like the end of the book, as we're nearing the end of the book and they're about to find the body of who it is and everything's kind of coming together, that's when I couldn't put the book down. So the next book I gave 4 stars to this month is Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. So this book I gave 4 stars to because I feel like I expected a bit more from it just because of the hype surrounding this trilogy. And I don't know, it was a really well done book. I really loved the overall premise of the novel. I've loved a lot of the book, but it's like 400 and something pages, and I just feel like it's a bit long for everything that happens in the book. It's like, I think it could have been condensed a little shorter. It definitely is a slow burn. We don't really make much progress on any of the mysteries till the very end of the book. And I don't know, I feel like I'm kind of burnt out on mysteries at the moment because I'm like, they're good, right? But I feel like all the ones I've been reading lately, it's like, oh, you don't find anything out until the end. And that's one of the reasons I really love the Inheritance games and like that first book, is because there was an overarching mystery. Why did Tobias Hawthorne leave Avery his whole like fortune? Why did he do that? And it's like this mystery of the book, right? But then also you're following all these smaller mysteries throughout the book, which is why I really liked it, because I felt like you're kind of figuring things out as they were going along. Like there's mini mysteries that are being solved throughout the book, and then you have this one big overarching mystery. And I feel like that's what I was lacking in this book and like the other mystery thrillers I have been reading, is it's just like there's one big mystery and we just wait till the end to get any sort of answers on it. I feel like it could have been condensed. That's all. I feel like it was a bit long. It could have been a bit shorter. The next book that I read this month and gave 4 stars to is Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell and Faith Erin Hicks. This is a graphic novel, which, oh my god, this book is so cute. I loved it. This was totally an impulse buy. It was such a good book. Oh my god. It was, when I say, oh my god, such a good book, it's not like it had crazy depth or this or that, right? It's like a graphic novel. It's cute. It's fun. And the reason I loved it is because, I don't know, I feel like I was reading a lot of like, not intense books, but like serious books, serious matter. It wasn't like, oh, fun, cutesy. And this was fun and cutesy. I gave it 4 stars because like, I don't know, like it's just cutesy. There's not much depth to it to give a 5-star rating to. Also too, like the ending, I didn't love the ending of this book. Spoiler time. I'm just gonna put spoiler here. If you haven't read this, you don't want to know what happens in the end, just like mute me, skip over this part. Maybe I'll put chapters here or something, I don't know. Okay, spoiler time. I did not love that they end up together at the end. I really like them having a platonic friendship, and obviously we know he's not gonna fall in love with a fudge girl. That was predictable, which do I care? No. It's a graphic novel, it's cutesy. I'm not expecting some big twist and oh my god, and him to fall in love with fudge girl. But like, I didn't want them to fall in love. I like them being best friends and it being a platonic best friendship. Back to everybody who can watch this video, even if you haven't read this. It was a really good book. I highly recommend it. Even though we're like past Halloween, by the time you read this would be such a cute November read anyway. The next book I gave 4 stars to this month, and the last book that I gave 4 stars to this month is We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. So this is a huge book. It's all over Book Talk, all over BookTube. Well, it used to be all over BookTube. It came out in 2014. So it was back all over BookTube back in the day, but now it's all over Book Talk. It's a super hyped up book and it has pretty mixed reviews on it, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to spend money on it because it had such mixed reviews, and then I found it at a thrift store for 25 cents and I was like, okay, I'll buy it. And yeah, so we are following 4 teenagers, and it's just about them going on their like private island during summertime, and there's something that happens, mystery. One of the girls, she loses her memory of one of the summers, summer 15 they call it, and it's just kind of about her trying to recover her memories and find out what happened that summer. So much of what happens in this book you can't really discuss if you haven't read the book. If you get the opportunity to pick this book up, I do recommend it if you haven't. It's just fun because everybody's read it, and like, who doesn't want to be part of the club, right? And also it was a fun read. It was a super quick read. I think it took me 2 days to finish this book. So now we are here for the spoilers of the book, the ending, and the reason I gave it a 4-star and not a 5-star, even though overall I really did enjoy the story. First of all, I love the length. I love it short. This is how I want thrillers, not thrillers. Oh, why do I keep saying thrillers when I mean mystery? This is how I want mysteries done, short. And do you know why I want them short? Because I just want to find out what happens and like, let's move on. You know what I mean? So that's why I like this one. We find out what happens, we move on. It's short, sweet, it gets to the point. So I didn't like the ending of this book, and it's not because it was just depressing. Like, it was fucking depressing. I could not imagine being Cadence in this story. Like, I think that's how you pronounce her name. Like, if I was her and I realized that I was responsible for the death of my 2 cousins, the love of my life, and 2 dogs, like, I could not live anymore. Like, how could, like, I could, but like, I couldn't live happily in my life anymore. Like, how could you ever have a happy life knowing that you murdered like you murdered 3 people and 2 dogs? Like, how is she not in jail for manslaughter? Like, I get it, it was all their idea to like burn down the house, but like, bro, what the fuck did you do? Like, you just accidentally killed 3 people and 2 dogs? Like, what were you thinking? Like, what? It was so fucking depressing. Like, I like don't even know what to say. Like, it was depressing. And them being ghosts at the end, I did kind of predict that when in the middle of the book, when Maureen starts to get sick and stuff and like whatever, I was like, oh, is she a ghost? I literally said my boyfriend was playing PlayStation. I'm sitting behind him reading. He's on his headsets. And I'm just like, is she a ghost? And he like turns around and looks at me and I'm like, sorry, reading. And guess what? She turned out to be a fucking ghost. So I'm just like, anyway, the next book that I read, I gave 3 stars to, and that is The Witch Haven by Sasha Payton Smith. I actually really liked the beginning of this book. Loved it up until she got to the Witch Academy, and then it just went downhill from there. And it's like, about a witch school, but I feel like there's really not much about the witch school, and then the administrators of the school are kind of assholes. So I didn't love the administration of the school. I didn't love the school itself because we didn't really get like that school atmosphere. It's really just her sneaking out to meet, well, it's not really a spoiler because like it's in here. It's like her sneaking out to, what's this kid's name? I totally forgot. Finn. It's literally just about Frances sneaking out to meet Finn and like doing magic that's forbidden at school. And I'm disappointed because I actually bought this book. I bought this book at Barnes & Noble. Like I pre-ordered this book because I thought it was gonna be really interesting, and I didn't just pre-order it. Okay, there was like a sale on pre-orders, so I just went through all the pre-orders that are part of the sale, and I was like, oh, this sounds interesting, let me get it. I can't even do like one of those spoilers, oh, let's go in depth thing, because I totally forgot what the ending to this book was. I read it like 2 weeks ago. I don't remember the ending. It was that forgettable. Next book. The last book I read in October, and the one I gave 2 stars to, is the X Hex by Erin Sterling. I'm sorry, I did not like this book at all. I thought the premise was cute. To be honest, if you simplified the plot to this book down and turned it into a graphic novel, I think it would have been a perfect graphic novel. Like if this, I probably would have gave a 4-star too if it was like Pumpkinheads. You know what I mean? Like simplify, put into a cute little graphic novel. Probably would have been a 4-star read. This just sucked. And I think it's because I'm not really well versed in adult romance stories. The only one I've really like read recently is the first one I ever read was Beach Read, and this is an adult romance book, but I feel like there's so much depth to this book. Like the characters have a lot of depth, the story has a lot of depth to it. And here, there's just no depth to this book. And the dialogue between the characters is so cringy. It feels so forced. It is just so cringy. I cannot stand it. It just felt like a Hallmark movie, which is already cringy, but then you just like up the cringe by like 100 times. Like it did not click for me. It did not work for me. And I just wanted a cute little fun read. And I guess this is just like a cute little fun read, but then I was just like, maybe I just don't like cute little fun reads because I really did not like this book. Those are all the books that I read in October 2021. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe down below. Tell me what books you read this month. Like, did you have any 2-star ratings that you hated? Like, I kind of hated the X Hex. Let me know. Do you have a new favorite book? Because like I do, Serpent and Dove. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!